the Christians and the fascists, and they're the same, that are hell-bent on destroying the earth, they now have a brand new leader of sorts, and that's Trump. Let me tell you what he's doing here. This was in today's New York Times. Now, we've talked many times, or I have on this podcast, about Trump's total disrespect for the earth. Total, complete. And part of it, I think, is because he's a slobby old fucker who is going to die from his slobby ways of living his slobby life. So he doesn't give a fuck. He really doesn't care. I don't think he cares. I don't think he acknowledges his own mortality to begin with. But the truth is, how can somebody as grotesque as Trump, where it concerns his physical being, how much longer can he keep going? Now, I know, might keep going for another 20 years, God help us. But Trump is not going to be around when your grandchildren are in their 40s. He just isn't. And what is Trump taking the lead in leaving your grandchildren and my grandchildren, your great-grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, and some of you, like me, your children? I have a almost 15-year-old. What is Trump leaving? Not only is Trump just evacuating his bowels all over the earth in everything he touches, everything he says, he's doing it so that the future can't recover from his messes, from his stools and his shit that he's leaving all over the earth. He is doing it in a manner that it's going to be impossible to recover. Let me give you an example. Front page, New York Times. Trump has rolled back environmental regulations, pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accord, brushed aside dire predictions about the effects of climate change, and turned the term global warming into a punchline rather than a prognosis. This is what this gross bastard has done. This is more of his shitting on everything. Well, it's worse, much worse. After 2 years of his assault on the mild attempts by Obama, and even some attempts by George W. Bush, very mild, very limited attempts, but attempts nonetheless, to wake Americans up to what's in our children's future. After 2 years spent unraveling all the policies of his predecessors, including Nixon, Trump and the slime and the scum of his political appointees are launching a brand new assault. And, the Times says, in what could be Mr. Trump's most consequential action yet, here it comes, his administration will seek to undermine the very science on which climate change policy rests. These filthy sons of bitches are now going after the science. Now, Christians have always done that, especially evangelicals, with their bullshit about the earth is 7,000 years old or some such shit. But Trump is not coming at the attempt to undermine science from a theological point of view. He's coming at it from an ignorant, fascist, dumb fuck point of view. Because he didn't come up with the science, therefore he has to ruin it. That's his philosophy. If I didn't initiate it or bring it into being, it's not worth shit and I'm going to destroy it. According to people who know him, Trump is an armchair naysayer about climate change. You know, like when I read that, I thought to myself, yeah, like some old bastard who lives next door to you, and he's 80 years old, right? And he sits there in front of his TV, and it doesn't make any difference what he watches. But when he sees something on a news program, he'll go, "Oh, that isn't true. Oh, fuck that. That's bullshit. Listen, I'll tell you how it really, right?" That's Trump. But the goal of these bastards in the Trump administration is not just to change the way these scientists try to project into the future, but also to question the conclusions by creating a new climate review panel. Let's have a new one. Let's get rid of those fucking scientists. Let's put a bunch of people from the petroleum industry on the panel and the chemical industry. Huh? That effort is led by a 79-year-old physicist who had a respected career at Princeton, but now he's fucking totally senile, I guess, because he's become better known in recent years for attacking the science of man made climate change and for defending the virtues of carbon dioxide, sometimes to an insane degree. His name is William Happer. William Happer. He serves on the National Security Council, God help us, so to speak, as Trump's deputy assistant for emerging technologies. This fucker's 79 years old. You know what he says? Quote, "The demonization of carbon dioxide is just like the demonization of the poor Jews under Hitler." End quote. That's what he said. The demonization of a gas, carbon dioxide, is the same as the murder of 6 million Jews. Now, if this fucking William Happer, I don't give a fuck if he was at Princeton, I don't care where he's been. If this guy were to tell you 2 plus 2 is 4, would you believe him? Carbon dioxide is like the Jews who were murdered by the Nazis. That statement is all the evidence you need that this fucking guy is insane or senile or so demented that he can't tell the difference between a gas and 6 million Jews? Or he has the fucking gall to put the two together in a comparison? Happer's proposed panel, the new climate assessment panel run by this cocksucker, Happer, his new panel is backed by John Bolton, the murderous, freakish national security advisor for Donald Trump. It was Bolton who brought Happer into the National Security Council. The demonization of carbon dioxide is just like the demonization of the poor Jews under Hitler. Do you find that statement repulsive, sickening, disgusting, imbecilic, a clear indication of advanced Alzheimer's? By the way, Happer and Bolton are both beneficiaries of Robert and Rebecca Mercer, those Nazi billionaires in the United States, who, along with their fucked up daughter, have funded all sorts of efforts to say that climate science is bullshit. The Mercer family. Climate scientists, of course, are dismissive of Happer. His former colleagues at Princeton are shocked. And several White House officials, including the soon-to-be gone Larry Kudlow, the president's chief economic advisor, he's on his way out, trust me, they have urged Trump not to adopt Mr. Happer's proposal on the grounds that it would be perceived as a White House attack on science. No, really? But that's exactly what it is. That's what Trump is about. That's what the Christians have always been about. Always with the attack on science. Every single fucking time. Galileo, Copernicus, all of it. The Christians found awful. It's of Satan. Burn them. Even Stephen Bannon, you remember him, that slobby son of a bitch who's been traveling Europe, boosting fascist governments in the elections over there. Even Bannon, who views Mr. Happer as, quote, the climate hustler's worst nightmare, a world-class physicist from the nation's leading institution of advanced learning who does not suffer fools gladly, end quote, is apprehensive about what Happer is trying to do. In other words, Steve Bannon refers to scientists who are trying to warn us about climate change as climate hustlers. Hustlers. Fucking Bannon calling someone else a hustler. Bannon added, quote, the very idea of putting Happer on this climate assessment panel, the very idea will start a holy war on cable before 2020. Better to win now and introduce the study in the second inaugural address. In other words, what Bannon is saying, Trump, shut the fuck up. Just get reelected from the numbnuts and the assholes who put you there, plus some more help from the Russians and the Czechs and anybody else, the Chinese. Just wait, and in your next inaugural address, then announce the death of science. And the Christians are thrilled. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.